Okay, you guys, going to cover that multiplicative inverse now. Now, you know with the additive inverse, we're looking for two numbers that when we add them together, we get 0 as the answer. That's not what we're looking for with multiplicative inverse. With multiplicative inverse, we want two numbers that when we multiply them together, we get the end result of 1. Not a negative 1, got to be a 1. So here's how that concept works. Another way of saying multiplicative inverse is reciprocal, which I think you guys know. That just means when you're looking at a fraction, you just flip the number upside down. So like, let's say you have 2/5. The reciprocal or multiplicative inverse of 2/5 is 5/2 because you just flip it upside down. Let's look at one a little bit more complex. Let's say like 11/16. 11 over 16, you flip it upside down, is 16 over 11. That's the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse. Let's look at the number 7. All right, we know that 7 is the same thing as 7 over 1. So that means the multiplicative inverse is going to be, if we flip that, is going to be 1 over 7. So the multiplicative inverse of 7 is 1 over 7. Okay, so let's look at what happens if we multiply these together. Multiply straight across. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 divided by 10 gives us 1. So we can see that that applies right there. Let's do our multiplication here. 11 times 16 is a number that I don't know off the top of my head. So let's see, 10 times 16 would be 160. Then another 16 added to that would be 176. So 176 over 16 times 11 is the same as 11 over 16, 176. So 176 divided by 176 again gives us 1. So we know those numbers are multiplicative inverse. Let's look at 7 times 1/7. And again, 7 is the same thing as 7 over 1. So 7 times 1 gives us 7. And 1 times 7 also gives us 7. And 7 divided by 7 gives us 1. So we know that all of these numbers are a multiplicative inverse of one another. And that's very simply how you find the multiplicative inverse.